What's up, people? Um, Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, my name is Keita, and I'm doing something new today. So normally I'll do a session on Sundays called Soul Food Sundays, and Soul Food Sundays is just a weekly oracle reading to kind of help provide some guidance for my people throughout the week. But today I'm going to be doing a brief review on a book that I have thoroughly enjoyed. I hope the wind chimes isn't going to be too much of a problem. Don't be hating on my wind chimes. Give me all kinds of peace and serenity. But the book that I am referring to is called Sacred Contracts by Carolyn Myss. I found this book at the Goodwill bookstore, which just so happens to be one of my favorite places in the world. And like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. I probably paid like $3 or $4 for them because shit in there is dirt cheap. So we're gonna get into it, but I just wanted to give you guys a little brief description of what it is that I got going on. So I'm gonna start doing like a little random recording, probably monthly, called Co-Creating, because that is definitely what we're here to do. We're out here to collectively pool our energy. That's why it's important that we keep our energy high, and that we are putting out positive energy, creative energy, and those things that God has blessed us with in terms of skill and talent. We are definitely being called to bring those forward boldly, and to just step out there and share what it is that we know, what it is that has helped us, what has been good to us on a soul deep level. And I can honestly say that this book has really been good to me. I love reading anyway. So if you have not already, subscribe to the channel so that you will receive notifications whenever I upload either Soul Food Sundays or Co-Creating. So welcome to the first episode. So the book is by Dr. Carolyn Myss, and she is what's considered a medical intuitive. So she has like psychic abilities, but she provides diagnosis for people, medical diagnosis for people intuitively. And I think she's been doing this for over 20 years. She has several books, but this is just the first of her books that I've read. So I love how the book starts out. Oh, excuse me. The book starts out with the description of what a sacred contract is. And a sacred contract is basically what we agree to when we are just a soul that has not assigned itself to a body. It's the life lessons that we've signed up for learning along our journey. It's basically the blueprint and what we're here for, and it includes all of the people that we encounter along the way to learn the lessons that we need to learn along the way, and so on and so forth. So so many of us, especially after we've gone through some things in life, ponder like, what am I here for? God, what is it that you want me to do? What is my purpose? And so I think that anyone who has ever had that thought would definitely find this book to be helpful. I know I found myself in a place where I've always known I wanted to teach something. I've always known I've wanted to be an entrepreneur. My mama tell you, she said I told her one day when I was in high school that I didn't want to work. I'm like, no, I didn't say I didn't want to work. I said I don't want to work for nobody. And that is just something that is innately within me, because although I can be a team player, I am just naturally a leader. I ain't trying to jump in and run stuff that it ain't for me to run, but at the same time, like, I've always been meant to be a leader, and I can do things autonomously. Like, I can really just do things on my own. I don't need help, even though it's nice to have But when I tell you my neighbor's cat, I like that y'all keep the mice away, but y'all be trying to take over my little house. It scared the hell out of me for like the 3rd time today. They just be moving too fast. But anyway, the book also comes with some cards that I'm gonna be pulling, but I'll get into that in a second. I had wrote down some notes, so before I even play with y'all and try to sit here and wing this whole description of the book, let me pull my notes out. I'm gonna keep it 100. And if it sounds like I'm reading, I am. So, oh yeah, so the book has 11 chapters, and it opens with this powerful statement about how we all often find ourselves asking ourselves, what are we here for? So the quote is, we all want to know why we're here. For many of us, that's true. Some of us are more concerned about superficial aspects of living, but many of us, especially under the current societal circumstances, we got time to think, and we're really thinking in a more in-depth way of what it is that we are here for. How should we be spending our time? Who should we be spending our time with? And if you're not having those types of thoughts, if you found your way to my channel, you probably are having those types of thoughts, because my content is not the most superficial of topics. But if you don't find yourself having those thoughts, it's worth it to really make time to think about it. I ain't saying like overthink it and make your head hurt. If you start just putting your energy in that direction with even giving thought to what your soul purpose is, God will send you the answer. So just start with just taking some time to invest some thought into that. Some of us know full well what it is, and we're not investing our energy into that. And you know, we all got our crosses to bear, but that's something that needs our attention. And so the book really just calls for you to reflect on some in-depth things in your life, and it talks about how some of the most prominent spiritual figures that we are familiar with, Jesus, not the prophet Muhammad, but Muhammad and Buddha, and a lot of the characters in the Bible, Abraham, a lot of them went on was considered the hero's journey, where they had a revelation or some direct contact with the divine, and they went out on a journey to find themselves. And on that journey they found that I don't really know myself at all. A lot of what I've been taught up to this point is not resonating with me, and it's not really true, or it doesn't sit well with me. There's no evidence of it. And so they kind of had to wipe their slate clean and learn over throughout their experiences, you know, what they are meant to be here for in this life. And amidst that journey, all of them, or most of them, went through a name change, because ultimately their identities changed. So Jesus set out on his journey as Jesus, but by the time he was done, he was the Messiah, Jehovah Jireh and Shekinah Glory, and all of the many names that we know and call on Jesus by. And those names didn't just come, you know, they weren't just happenstance. It was because of his journey and his works along his journey. He earned that name, but it was God already knew what it was going to be. And the same God that sent them on the journey sends us on a journey. So if y'all turn on here tomorrow and my name is Medulla Oblongata, I've been on my journey and it changed. But no, really, for me, it would probably be like in this day and age, you know, before my journey, or when I started my journey, I was on IG, and my name on there was Dude's Baby Girl, because I'm my deceased father's youngest daughter. And now I really don't even use that page, and I go by Turquoise Majesty. Now that's not my name, but that's the name that I'm identified by on there. So it's just like that type of thing, because now I'm in a totally different place. I've ascended a few times, and I'm far more elevated, and I'm more in touch with what it is, what my purpose is in this life. So just to kind of connect the two of okay, Spirit, this breezes everything. It feels so good out here. And if I didn't have other things to do, I probably would sit out here all day. But yeah, back to the book. So I love how the book goes through those stories. I love how the book talks about like polarity and duality, and how, you know, there's good and there's evil in the world, or how you can look at that in even an in-depth way of, you know, how people like Adolf Hitler, or I'm trying to think of someone else who may have been referenced, but you know, those people who we look at as the villains, the bad guys. The book talks about how those guys are using the same talents and skills that some of the people we know as heroes are using, but they're using them for bad. So you just have to be mindful as you're living out your sacred contract of how you are using the talents and skills that God has given you, because you're being a steward of what it is that God has blessed you with. And like say a Adolf Hitler, if you abuse your power, you could be responsible for the damnation of a lot of people. And you can do things and influence people in ways that go down in history, and you not be on the right side of history. So you just want to be mindful of the charge that's being put on your life, and who you're influencing and how you're influencing. Whether that could just be your children and the people in your home. You're stewards. You're a steward of those people. Or it could be the people on your job, or the people at the bus stop, at the bakery, at the grocery store, at the light. Just be mindful of how you treat people and how you are using your God-given talents and skills, or even the time. Time is a resource that God blesses us with. Be mindful of how you use your time, and how you are using other people's time. Be on time. Don't be late if you can help it. Respect people's time. But trying to see what are some other things in this book that I just really wanted to point out to you guys. Oh, so yeah. So you incarnate into this world to live out your sacred contract, and you go through, before you reincarnate, this phase of I think it's called forgetfulness, the phase of forgetfulness, something like that. I've been researching so much stuff, so many stuff run together. But you don't remember it, because if you remembered, you would cheat your way through life. Like, what's the purpose? So you come here, you pick your assignment, you come here, and you don't remember what it is that you are here to do, because as part of the journey, you have to stay connected to God in order for that to come back to you. That's why when you do have what's called an awakening, it's not really an awakening, it's more like coming back to yourself. You remembering what it was that you knew prior to being programmed by society and the things that you were taught, and generational things that have been passed down to you, and the TV and social media and your friends and all of the influential things that are around us. You're coming back to your natural self. And of course we all have free will, and so should you use your free will to do things that are not according to your sacred contract, that's fine. God has given us that, but at the same time, you're gonna suffer that karma. You're gonna deal with whatever comes with not following the path that has been laid out for you, especially when you know. And let me not sound like I'm fussy, especially when we know what it is that we're supposed to be doing and we don't do it. You know, when the wind pick up like that and the chimes pick up, I just feel like it's God like saying, preach, sister. That's what I'm talking about. God giving me the high five, I'll take it. These bugs gonna run me in the house. But yeah, you know, that free will, that's a resource. You want to make sure you're not abusing that, and you're using that for the purpose of glorifying the kingdom and doing what it is that God blessed you to do. And don't judge other people for their path and their purpose. Like, I don't know, if you come from a small place like me, we tend to think that things should be a cookie cutter way. Everybody should do things a certain way, and it's just only a small pool of variety and diversity where I'm from. I'm below the Bible Belt. But, you know, once you start to travel the world, you will see that there are people who have sacred contracts that are so all-encompassing and have such a wide variety of range and depth. And, you know, the best thing we can do as we are venturing out is just be open-minded. Keep an open mind. Don't shun anything for anybody for anything, and just stay in your lane. But be open. Be open to learning. Be open to understanding, because you never know what facet of what they have going on could be a factor in your sacred contract. We do not meet people and have experiences for nothing. It's all for something. It's just a matter of not being distracted and not being too busy to consider what that for something is. So the book goes into, like, it breaks down the different chakras of the chakra system. It discusses 8 of the chakras. There's like hundreds of chakra points, and if you're not familiar with the chakra system, the chakras are different energy points in our body that are associated with our characteristics, personalities, how we connect with God, our health, our creativity, our sexuality, things of that nature. So the ones I'm most familiar with are numbers 1 through 10. I ain't gonna lie, I'm familiar with 1 through 8, and that's mostly because this book breaks down in depth numbers 1 through 8. So your first chakra being your root chakra, which is like right at your tailbone, represented by the color red. And then you have the sacral chakra, which is orange. Feel like I'm having a pop quiz. The sacral chakra, which is orange, which is associated with like sexuality, creativity, those sorts of things. If you have issues in those areas, it may be something in your sacral chakra that is blocked. Then when you move on up, like right above the navel, or at the navel, no, above the navel, will be your solar plexus, which is represented by the color yellow. And you move on up to the throat chakra. Throat chakra being, no, the heart. I just skipped the heart. The heart being the being represented by the color green. Of course, the heart chakra is associated with your emotions. If you have a closed heart chakra, or your heart chakra has not been activated, it may be symbolic of some things that you need to forgive, anything that would hinder you from being open and loving. Then you move on up to the throat chakra, which is represented by the color blue. The throat chakra being that energy center that supports you speaking your truth and speaking up about things, speaking up for yourself, things of that nature. Then you move on up to one of my favorites, the third eye chakra, right up in here, which is represented by the color purple. And that is your ability to see the unseen. That's where the quote-unquote psychic ability lies, your intuition, to be able to, like, that gut feeling. It ain't down in here. It's actually that which you can see from right here, when it connects with these chakras here. So it's a very interesting system that has proven to be effective to really study and learn and be familiar with. And then you have the 7th chakra, which would be the crown chakra. The crown chakra is how you connect with the divine. It's kind of like how the spirit and the intellect connect as one. That's represented by a dark purple, like a dark violet color. And then the 8th chakra is, oh, I don't forgot the name of it. I forgot the name of it, but it's like how you connect. It's like right up in here, and it's how you connect to cosmic energy. And I done forgot the color too. But read the book. And even if you don't read the book, you can just Google it. Most commonly when you Google the chakra system, you're gonna get the initial 7 chakras. But Google the 8th chakra specifically, because there's a lot of information out there about that. But it's basically like going beyond logic and connecting with God, but also connecting with cosmic energy. So I thought that was pretty dope. And then the book breaks down how the chakra system is associated with the houses in astrology, and how those play out in your sacred contract. And then one of the most interesting things is how it breaks down the archetypes. The archetypes, I think that's a concept that was created by a philosopher called Jung. And basically there's a whole bunch of them. In the back of the book, there's an appendix of all of the archetypes that we live out throughout our sacred contract. So you have the hero, you have the rescuer. A lot of times we find ourselves being in the queen or the king archetype. Say if you're naturally an authoritative figure. The hermit is an archetype. And I'm trying to think of some of the others. The child. If you find yourself feeling like a child in certain situations, or connecting with your inner child in any way, be it positive or negative, you may be living out the archetype, the child archetype. One that I resonated with was the poet archetype, just in the way I speak and things that I'm attracted to, and I love poetry. So the poet was one of the archetypes that I know is prominent in my life. And what are some other ones? The hedonist. If you're a person that's pleasure is a key thing in your life, or if you're glutinous, or I mean, it could be the light aspect of being a hedonist or the dark aspect of being a hedonist, because there's light and dark in everything. There's a light side and a dark side, and what we mainly aim to do is have moderation and balance in either. Another archetype is, let's see, sitting here trying to guess. About to get them early onset Alzheimer's, trying to guess that I could just be reading the book. The saboteur. So like if you're one of those people who you find yourself self-sabotaging or sabotaging things, you may identify with the saboteur architect. The Samaritan is a archetype. Did I say architect? Y'all know what I meant. Yeah, the Samaritan is an archetype that you may find yourself familiar with. And the prostitute. The prostitute is a very prominent one. The prostitute archetype is mainly associated with, like, not you know, in the common sense of what a prostitute is, but if you have ever found yourself in a situation where you felt like you were selling out and you weren't holding true to your beliefs or what it was that you wanted to do, but for the sake of others or getting what you want out of the situation, you sold yourself out on your values. That was acting in the prostitute archetype. And these archetypes are not specific to male or female, or anything like that. So this is one of those books that it gets pretty deep. I would advise if you read it, you go through it with a journal, a pen, a highlighter. If anybody think they're gonna borrow my book, and I got all kinds of funny notes, and because I'm an annotator, like when I read, if it's a good book, I'm gonna annotate or make little notes, and it may be something I want to come back to, and I have like whatever I was thinking at the time, kind of written out at the side, to the side. So that's the book. I mean, it's a lot more detailed, but I hope I was able to at least give you an understanding to where you can determine whether or not you may want to give it a try. And before we part ways, let the plane go by, I'm gonna pull some cards from the Carolyn Myss Archetype card deck. In the book, it gives you like little exercises to reflect on, and she asks you to like intuitively connect with some of the archetypes. Pick the archetypes that stand out most to you in your life and why. And then you kind of like write each one on a piece of paper, and you shuffle them up, and you assign it to your house system of the zodiac. But had I known that she had the cards at that point, I probably would have skipped that exercise and just got the cards. I think I got the cards like right before I finished the book. And that way I wouldn't have had to kind of do the little makeshift assignment, because she already got cards made up. But what I'm going to do is do a collective reading just to see what cards come out as a sign of, or a message for you guys of which archetypes to kind of look into, study, consider how it plays a part in your life, if more than one comes out. So let's see. Father God, Mother Earth, ancestors, and spirit guides, in this day and time, we just thank you for your love and light and protecting us with all that's going on around us. And we just ask that you show us which archetype we should consider in our life at this time. Which archetype that was about to be a whole lot of cards. Which archetype would you have us to consider at this time, God? Oh, okay. So we got the Rebel. That's me all day. Not all day. I act right sometimes. The Poet. Lord, you talking about them or me? I think you telling my business. But this is a collective reader, so somebody watching may identify with these as well. The Rebel, in its light attributes, challenges authority to affect social change, reject spiritual systems that do not serve inner needs. And from the shadow attributes of the Rebel, like I said, everything has its dark and light. There's a good side and a bad side. So the dark side and dark is not necessarily bad, but the dark side of the shadow, the dark side of the Rebel is that they reject legitimate authority out of anger and rebel out of peer pressure or fashion. When you're when you're exemplifying the dark side of the Rebel, that means your heart ain't right. You rebelling against something for the sake of, or because of others' influence, or you're just trying to be low down, or you want to stand out. You know how some people, they'll disagree with you just so their point can stand out. They don't even believe the shit they saying. They just, nope, the sky red, nope, because they want to seem like they deep or profound, or when we all see and know it's scientifically proven, it's physically proven, it's mentally proven that the sky is blue. Everybody agrees that it's blue. And then you got that one person that's going to tell you it's red because they're exhibiting the dark side of the Rebel. But the light side of the Rebel will challenge something, but challenge it with a purpose. So consider how that side of you may be playing out in your life. Are you exemplifying the light or the dark of the Rebel? Then we have the Priest. The light attributes of the Priest is the priest facilitates spiritual commitments and serves as a channel of spiritual energy. And the dark side of the Priest violates the trust of your spiritual community, seduced by your own spiritual role. Okay, I'm gonna go there. Dark side of the Priest. These spiritual beings that are leading people to hell with gasoline draws on. And doing it intentionally, because we all human, and people can, I've never put someone who's a prominent spiritual figure on so much of a pedestal that I think they can't falter or do wrong. We're human. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So of course, on that human experience, during that human experience, we're gonna falter at some point. But like, let's say you got these priests sleeping with little boys. Dark side of the priest archetype. Now the light is those of us who are taking up the cross, so to speak, or open to our spiritual journey and using that energy for positive. We're committed to it. We're committed to the good and bad of it, and we're serving as a channel of spiritual energy, not to exalt ourselves, but to exalt God and to bring positive energy and positive change into this world. So that's the light side of the priest, and we're being urged to consider how we are exemplifying the priest archetype in our lives. And last but certainly not least, one of my favorite archetypes is the poet. And the light side of the poet expresses soul insights in symbolic language. The dark side of the poet archetype turns a lyrical gift to negative or destructive effect. So I would say an example of the dark side of the poet is those who take their lyrical gifts to demean, those who take their lyrical gifts, use their lyrical gifts to glorify things that are not conducive to growth and love and art and life and those things that are of God. Although I do, think that art imitates life and life isn't perfect. There's a dark side to life, so art is gonna imitate that sometime. But the poet is also someone who uses their gift of gab, their lyrical ability to seduce, and it's like a Casanova type of guy, or even a woman, the type of woman that can put that pimping in your ear, so to speak. I've been listening to A-Ball and MJG all week, so I just knew they was about to be referenced at some point. But I mean, truth be told, that a pimp, somebody that's using their gift of gab and their lyrical ability, their ability to speak in a way that influences for negative influence, is the dark side of the poet. And then the light side, of course, is to glorify the beauty of life, the beauty of nature, and to use those gifts for your good. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed co-creating with me. I enjoyed putting positive energy into the air and hoping that it reaches you well. Join me for Soul Food Sundays each and every Sunday right here on the YouTube. And with that being said, like the video and have an awesome week. Peace.